Hello, this is the Honda Civic Type R, and this is the iconic Lime Rock Park in Connecticut. And let me just tell you this, no matter what it looks like, this car is an absolute freaking blast.
This is what disruption looks like in the hot hatch market. When it first pulled up, I stared at it for 30 minutes like a stoner with a kaleidoscope. It looks like a futuristic Kabuto helmet missing its warrior. It looks like an anime character that wandered away from Studio Ghibli. It barely looks like a car at all.
It's such a divisive looking car. You will not miss this car. You can see this car from space. I don't know whether I like it, but there is no doubt it is making a statement that its competitors cannot match in any possible way. You look at this next to something like a Ford Focus RS or Subaru WRX STI, and they look not only conservative, but in some ways retrograde.
Our friends from overseas may not realize it, but this is the very first Honda Civic Type R ever sold in America. Of course, we've been lusting after Type Rs ever since we read the specs on this one, the 1997 JDM Civic Type R. 182 horsepower at 8,200 RPM from a hand-ported, naturally aspirated 1.6-liter VTEC four-cylinder. It was a legend, a screamer, and those red seats made us green with envy. But that first Type R was a far different beast than this new fifth version. Despite the return of crimson chairs, its turbocharged 2-liter has completely changed its character. Gone is the howling high RPM drama of the original Type R, replaced by an effortless blast of mid-range torque.
Okay, 306 horsepower, 295 pounds-feet. This is a very responsive turbocharged 2-liter. You get a torque event in terms of turbocharging and valving that is extremely exciting in this car. No doubt, no freaking doubt. I'm at the historic and significant Lime Rock Park Racetrack in Connecticut, which isn't exactly the place where I should be driving this car. It should be Suzuka or something like that, but it's interesting to be here because kind of retracing the past at Lime Rock in a car that is channeling the future. Now, a couple of things. It's front-wheel drive, not all-wheel drive. And what does that mean? Torque steer, non-existent.
The downside of front-wheel drive is all the work the front end has to do. You combine steering and driving the wheels, and the car gets darty and hard to control under full throttle. New strut designs like Ford's Revo Knuckle and the struts on the Type R move the steering access point closer to the tire center line, virtually eliminating torque steer, the bane of high-torque front-wheel drive.
You don't get jerked around and smack your elbows against the door trying to hold it in place.
The Type R ingests a lot of air. Actually, that prominent hood scoop isn't an intake, but a heat extractor and pressure equalizer, and helps reduce front-end lift. The middle intake feeds the engine, and the bottom one feeds the intercooler. Most of the aggressive aerodynamic bits on the Type R do have a purpose. These vertical slats, called the air curtain, get clean air flowing over the wheels and down the sides of the car to reduce the extra drag from the Type R's wider track. The winglets at the edges of the front spoiler and ahead of the rear wheels clean up the air over the wheel openings and also create some downforce. The rear wing is thinner to reduce drag, and those vortex generators on the roof make the wing more efficient by energizing the airflow, sending it down over the wing. While the whole package doesn't create massive race car-like downforce numbers, those 66 pounds of pressure on the rear deck at 124 miles per hour do prevent traction loss caused by lift. And despite conspiring to make the Type R look like Iron Man's wrist guard, it's all functional.
So, interior, yes, very loud, very red. I like all the little details though. The little riveted Type R Civic with the serial number is, just one of those little details. The gear shift throws are nice and short, nice and clicky, perfect. Probably the best, I think, from an OEM right now.
The downsides, well, depending on your vision, perhaps the looks. But if I had to ask for one thing, it would be to separate the adaptive damper settings from the throttle and variable ratio steering. It's not a problem here on the racetrack, but on my favorite Northeast roads, I'd rather go soft with the dampers and more aggressive with throttle and EPS. I'll get back to you on the steering, but here in Sport and R Plus mode, it's direct, and if not full of feeling, definitely matched to the chassis.
So we're in Sport mode right now. The car starts in Sport mode, so Honda obviously knows its audience. The default is a nice crisp setting on the drive-by-wire throttle, not overly throttled. Feels like it would be pretty perfect for most street driving. Let's go into R plus R mode. So this is, yeah, a little more aggressive throttle. The dampers are in their stiffest setting. This is set for lap times, right? So all the settings are biased toward getting you around corners quicker. Very sharp handling. Yes, come on, let's get it. It is an absolute hoot on a racetrack. And I don't say hoot lightly. I don't throw the word hoot around.
But if you can judge a car by how often after a drive you find yourself thinking about it, then the Civic Type R is a 10 out of 10. If any car begged for a follow-up drive, it's this one. Yes, Honda's back, and just in time to be brand new all over again.